What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. There seems to be a prevailing notion out there that I've noticed, at least within certain parts of the community, that there were no such thing as dual types in the first generation of Pokémon. I'm not sure why some people seem to think this. If you don't believe me, you can see for yourself. This perplexed me greatly, since multiple people seem to be under the Mandela Effect in this case. The Mandela Effect is the name of a sociological phenomenon where several are under the delusion of having false memories. It stems from Nelson Mandela, one of the most prominent figures in South African history, and how many people insist they remember him dying after being imprisoned. Except he didn't, and went on to become an important political icon. Another example you might have heard of is the Berenstain Bears. Everyone pronounces their name that way, but the way it's spelled would have you say it differently. And it's always been spelled that way, but also always been said the other way. But these are always false memories. There's empirical evidence to the contrary, and this is the case for Pokémon having dual types in the Gen 1 games. First of all, just look at any game since then. And I don't mean the let's go kind of game, but any of the Gen 1 games that you might have played on Virtual Console, or even an emulator. Go ahead and check the summary and you can clearly see the distinct types where this is applicable. The only ones you can't are with the Magnemite line, and that's just because Steel-type didn't exist yet. Now, you might be saying, but that's new, so they just updated it. But if you think that's true, then you need more help than I thought, because they didn't touch any other part of the game. I still have to go to the menu, select the Pokémon, and physically hit the HM move instead of just interacting with the obstacle. I still have to save every time I want to change PC boxes. They wouldn't alter the experience by introducing a brand new, game-breaking feature that completely alters all strategy in battle and not improve basic expediency. The only change that I can see was to trades, but that's only with the real-life connectivity. It behaves exactly the same in-game. You still have to go talk to the same lady and everything. Next, let's just look at the facts. Why would Brock, the Rock-type gym leader, have only ground types? Because that's what you're saying if you don't think there are dual types. Geodude and Onix are both immune to electric. Always have been. You can go and check for yourself on an old copy. So then, why wouldn't Brock be a ground-type trainer? Other than the fact that Giovanni is as well. But he's got a Nidoking and a Nidoqueen, and they didn't switch to not being poison types anymore. They're still weak to Psychic, but also immune to Electric. Also, people have mined data from the original games, which is how we saw that there were some Pokemon eventually from Johto in there. But we also saw at one time there was the Bird type. This later became Flying, obviously, but let me ask you this. Why would they even need to change it if there couldn't be dual types? You would have your birds and then nothing else would be able to fly. You wouldn't need to change it at all. If there couldn't be bug and flying types, why not just leave it as birds? Same with Gyarados. It's clearly not a bird, so why would they even worry about changing it if it's just a pure water type? I don't know how you can honestly think that these Pokemon were so basic in their initial run. I mean, at least give the developers some credit. If the second generation can squeeze in 2 regions, then surely the first one can have 2 types. I mean, just think about it. How come ground-type moves were super effective against ghost types? It's not because it was some kind of type matchup change lost to time. It's because all Gen 1 ghosts were also poison. I never thought I would actually have to explain this, but there are clearly misinformed people out there. And if you can't crack open your old game to find proof for some reason, there are other means, such as numerous episodes of the anime's first season, like the time the Pokédex specifically referred to Dugong as a water and ice type. Or there's also the fact that the game dex entries go on about how poisonous Vileplume and Weepinbell are, despite being grass types. And look at the Gen 1 trading cards for Slowpoke and Slowbro. They're put in the Psychic-type category, even though in the games, they're almost exclusively found through the Super Rod, so they were clearly also water types. Being weak to Electric is a big clue on that one. Or there's this handbook, that was printed in Generation 1 that clearly lists all of the dual types and even has a helpful color coding system to show you which ones have multiple types. This isn't a revision. I've had this book since the 90s, and there have always been dual types within its well-worn pages. I am fully willing to believe that dual types might have been a late addition to the games, changing certain Pokémon into something else at the last minute. But to make the assertion, as some do, that none of the Pokémon were dual-typed is ludicrous. Lance's Dragonite isn't immune to ground because it's magical, it gained the flying type on top of the existing dragon. How else could the fossil Pokémon that come from rocks have all the strengths and weaknesses of the water type? Listen, I'm not going to sit here and insult you if you believe this falsehood, because there are some out there that are convinced that it's true. But please stop trying to make everyone else fall for it as well. Pokémon have always had dual types in their games. It's as fundamental as having 4 move slots. It's part of the very fabric of the identity of Pokémon since day one. And if that were not the case, when would you think that this feature came in anyway? What other year would this trend have started? But if you don't believe me, you can always boot up a copy and discover it for yourself. Have you ever encountered this strange brand of misremembering Pokémon? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Also, be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time!